and welcome to another episode of Garden to Table with Rose, and I am Rose. I am gardening in Zone 6A, Kalamazoo, Michigan, and here we are almost at the end of September, and I thought I would do one final backyard tour because I don't think I've done one in over a month. So the garden in the back is being put to bed, so to speak. I am prepping some areas for flowers that I'm going to plant out and overwinter, some hardy annuals. So I will plant those seedlings out and then cover those with row cover. And they're supposed to overwinter and according to what I've read, have a good jump start for the spring. So they should be sturdier and bloom quicker. So we'll see if that works. But I'm going to do a quick pan. Certain parts are in disarray, of course, because I'm always in the middle of transforming something, some bed, some kind of way. All right, so over here, as I said in the last video, I'm moving away from growing as many vegetables as I have in the past 2 years. This is only going to be my third season of gardening coming up next year. So I'm moving away from a lot of the vegetables because it was too much. I wasn't eating them. A lot of it was going to waste. It's just me that really eats veggies around here. And so it just didn't make sense for me to keep growing as many as I was growing. I do have a little area that I'm going to keep for my vegetable garden, but I'm planting a lot less, which will be different for me. I decided to move more towards flowers, particularly cut flowers. So my big vegetable patch is going to become a cut flower patch. I still will grow all of my fruit, obviously, because those are perennials and they are here to stay. Fruit is an expensive crop, in my opinion. They're very expensive at the grocery store, more expensive than veggies for the most part. So, I'll have my own, so that works out well. All right, so over in this corner, I've cut down everything. I've started to empty out all containers. Next year, I only plan to have these three big tub containers that I have. My strawberries are in grow bags, so those will have to stay in the bags. But I had a whole row of just grow bags and containers, and I'm getting rid of all of that. It'll be a cleaner look, and also, again, I don't need all the veggies, and I was growing veggies in those. So over here, these are all perennials. This is the comfrey, which is really good as a fertilizer. I have not made it into a fertilizer yet, but I plan to do that in the spring, next spring. This parsley that keeps coming back, the chives keep coming back, lemon balm, this echinacea keeps coming back, and I've cut it way down. It was as tall as me. Back here are, I believe, aronia berries, and I have yet to actually harvest any. There's a few on there. It's the first time it has had berries. There's red ones if you can see them, and I have several of these because they don't get very big. I don't know why this is here. That looks like a weed to me. But, so, I don't know. I may taste those at some point here before they freeze. That's a blueberry plant. This echinacea that keeps coming back. I have 2 aronia berries. I have 2 of everything for cross-pollination purposes. But in this section, let me just say there are 2 aronia berries, 2 gooseberries, 2 currants, at least 2, and then 2 josta berries. So it's a mixture of berries and lots of blueberries. There's raspberries over here. And berries, none of them have fruited other than a couple of the blueberries. This is the second year they've been in, so I'm thinking next year is the fruiting year. Yeah, more lemon balm, but that one's a mandarin, I believe, an orange, more of an orange flavor and scent. More of the berries, the gooseberries, strawberry bags. The strawberries are all done. This right here is a white currant, so I have currants as well. Over here is blueberries. So we're blueberry bushes, different types, I am sure. Strawberry plants in there. This, I believe, is a black raspberry. Yes, it is. Sage, which I've cut back. another blueberry plant. This is this rosemary? Let me smell it. That is rosemary. Sometimes I get the rosemary confused with this sensational lavender I have. It looks just like it. More blueberry plants. I got lots of blueberries. This is something I just transplanted, a little patch of oregano, which is spreading, which is good. And this monster here, I call it a monster because it's constantly suckering. Like, I can come out here any day and there's more suckers. Like, for example, there, here. And I just keep pulling them out. They like to travel. Some of the berries, some of the blackberries, some of the raspberries. They will travel and they'll take over your whole yard or bed if you let them. You have to pull those suckers out. And I only need so many. All right, so yeah, there are some yellow raspberries in here as well as red ones in this little clump area. And then over here, my big bed, I got some things finishing up, and then I have my fall crops that I've sown. So in this row, I have the tomatoes, they're all done. Back there are my winter squash, which I'm just waiting for the first frost or for the vines to die completely, and then I'll come out and harvest all of those. And then this row here, I just planted this not too long ago. These are rutabagas, so these are my fall crops. Rutabagas, which I have to keep under cover. I have a big problem with cabbage moths here. So, you know, I keep most things under the white row cover until it gets so big that it's pushing up against it. Then I take it off. These are artichokes that I did not plant, or maybe I planted them in the spring and they're just now deciding to do this whole thing that they're doing. But I'm not growing those again. This is again something I must have planted in the spring, some kind of leafy green that just decided to sprout now. And then my melons, my poor melons, I only got one ripe melon off of here. Nothing else has ripened. You know, zone 6A, I didn't think it's a good zone for growing melons because it just doesn't have enough time. It's pretty cold now. We're in the 60s during the day, low 60s. So, you know, things slow down growing when it gets cool. So I do think I'll be able to harvest this one, the striped one. I'm not sure what variety that is, but I haven't had one of those yet. I did have one of these sugar babies. It was tasty, but the watermelons to me here, the one I grew, the one I had, tasted pretty much like the ones at the grocery store, like during the season. I mean, it was sweet, but it wasn't anything spectacular. So I'm not growing melons again. It's too much space. This is a loofah gourd, and I just got this because I wanted to see it turn into a loofah and give me a couple of loofah sponges. So that has to stay there for a while until it dries out or something. And then let me go over here. This row is all my fall sown brassicas. Again, they were all under row cover until just this past week. And actually today I want to come out and spray for those cabbage moths. Some BT, because they'll probably be back once the sun comes out. But yeah, I got lots of leafy greens here. And mostly it is broccoli and cauliflower because those are two things that I really like. And they can be a little pricey at the grocery store. So that's what these all are. And then there's some Chinese greens thrown in like that. It's some type of a bok choy, I can tell you that. But, you know, it's trying to keep, I think this looks like kale. It could be broccoli though. Trying to keep the bugs off is the trick. Now this row is pretty much empty. I have two fennels that sprung up from way back in the spring. I was not successful at growing fennel bulbs, so I don't know if I'll try that next year. And then this is a sensational lavender that I transplanted over here. As you can see, I mean, they don't look exactly like rosemary when I look at it up close, but from a distance it can confuse me. But I can tell by the scent, which. That's a rosemary for sure. I got rosemary everywhere. As I've said in other videos, I love rosemary as an herb to cook with, and I also love it as a landscape shrub. That is probably time. And this was a whole row of dahlias from seed. Pom-pom dahlias, I think they're called. And there it's a mix. They come out some double, some singles. And then the thing is, if you really like one of the plants, you can dig it up probably before the ground freezes. Oh, there's a bee on there sleeping. Don't touch that one. Sheesh, I don't want to get stung out here. You could probably dig it up and save it and then replant the tubers. As you know, dahlia tubers cannot overwinter here in zone 6A in the ground, so you have to take them out. That's why I don't mess with dahlias, and they're expensive. Oh, this one's beautiful. Look at that. It's white and yellow, but it has pink around the edges. I might dig that one up. So I haven't really seen any this go around that was spectacular where I wanted to dig it up and save it and do all that. But I do really like that white and pink one, so I might save that one. The rest of them, they look pretty common colors, so I'm not going to save any of those. But these will make good cut flowers. I'm looking at them. They're bushy. They have multiple blooms. Nice stem length. So I think they probably would be a good cut flower. So I may do these again. Next spring. And I do like them up against this fence too, because I could just kind of corral them with the string to keep them upright. So we'll see. But that's what's going on in the fruit bed, in the big bed. And here is where I am just killing weeds and stuff. This is going to be, it is, but it's a mulch layer. I dumped out all the containers there, so there's a lot of the potting mix on top of the dirt, or on top of the wood chips. So I'm trying to make sure I kill off anything that's under there, let it compost over the winter, and then I'll top that off with wood chips. I got to take my cushion in. And then I got my preen because at least one row, that one row with the fennel in it, is going to be where I plant those cool flowers, those hardy annuals, soon before the ground freezes. I'm waiting for them to get bigger. They're in the house under lights right now. So here's my berry hedge of blackberry type berries, I would say, and behind that are 2 rows of grapevines. Now I have removed several of the grapevines, which is a shocker because I put a lot of effort and money into it. But let's talk about the berries first. This was the white blackberry, which is delicious. I only got like a handful off of this sucker, and it didn't give me anything else, but it is delicious. It is thorny. I will say it again. You can get blackberries without thorns, but they do not taste anywhere near as good as the ones that have thorns. I can tell you that for a fact because I have both. So, you know, you may have to suffer and put on those rose gloves if you value the flavor. So, this right here is another blackberry. Let's see. Apache. Now, Apache is thornless. And then this is another one that's thornless right here. Freedom Primocane. There are still berries, a few, on these 2 thornless ones. So I've been out here harvesting. I made a blackberry crisp. It was really good. This one right here has thorns. This is a Marionberry. And then I have over here a Loganberry. And what else? If I can see my little sign here. Boysenberry. Yeah, so that boysenberry, I'm planning to make some jam. That one hasn't fruited yet. These things are all 2 years old. And this one hasn't fruited yet, this Loganberry here. So I think I was planning to make jam with those. That's my goal. Now let's talk about this area. This area looks a hot mess. What I have been doing here is trying to kill off all the weeds and get this area all mulched, and that's a process for me, it's a process of a year or 2 because I, do sheet mulching. I'm not going to take up all this grass. That's a lot of grass. So I cover it with cardboard and put down the wood chips and all the stuff to try to kill off the grass. And it tends to work. It may take 2 seasons, but 2 growing seasons. I've been putting the grass clippings here too to help speed up the process of killing all the grass and everything off in the weeds. So it's coming along. As you can see, this row is pretty much empty except for 2 grapevines. I decided after thinking about it that I'm not going to grow wine grapes. I had several wine grapes and I was going to try to make white wine because I like wine and I like making wine. But I've only made the country wines, you know, from other fruits, not grapes. And it's a different process for wine made from grapes. Anyway, what I decided was I just don't have time to add one more hobby or thing I have to ferment, make, create to the arsenal. And so I decided to take them out before they got too big. Yeah. So that space is empty. I'm not going to put more grapes there. I probably will use that for some of the taller flowers, maybe seasonally, so that I have something to tie them to. But yeah, I'm not putting any more grapes in, period. These are all eating grapes and Concords, which is, you know, I can make juice or jam. You can eat them too, but I got them really for juice and wine. This whole row, yeah, they are all sweet grapes, table grapes. There's red ones, there's green ones, they're seedless. There's a blueberry grape down there at the end, which I've never had before. It's supposed to taste like a blueberry, I suppose. So yeah, so I'm going to come once everything freezes back. I'm going to come and trim some of these berry bushes, tie them to the trellis like they're supposed to be, and you know, get rid of some of the older canes and just make sure I don't want this overgrowth of canes to work with. That's too much. It's too hard to pick, and I only need so many berries. So I'm gonna select a number, I don't know, maybe six canes per plant that I will keep. And that's because I have 3 rows on my trellis, and if I put 3 on one side and 3 on the other side, and that'll look neat. So I'm probably going to keep 6 canes of each of these berry plants, tie them to the trellis once all this foliage dies back so I can really see what I'm working with. This is my little cherry tree, which is doing great. I just trimmed all my trees. I know you're not supposed to prune in fall, but they were getting tall, and these are all supposed to be dwarf trees. I need to be able to reach them from the ground or from a little step stool, and I can't let them get too far out of hand. I decided I'm getting rid of these elderberries, and the reason why is because I'm probably not ever going to use the elderberries. I just kind of left them there for the birds to eat. I chopped them down. I haven't taken it out of the pot because it is really probably root bound in there. It's huge, so I need to get my shovel to do that. But yeah, I'm not going to grow the elderberries. It's extra work for me to keep them fertilized and watered when I don't even use them. And honestly, if I wanted to make elderberry syrup or something, I would just buy dried because it's too tedious. These things are minute, these berries. It's too tedious to try to take them off the stems and all that stuff. My poor Bobo hydrangeas, I trimmed back, and I'm still holding out hope that they will bounce back. They don't look like it, but I'm going to leave them there until next spring. And then all of these are hydrangeas, which I got these little 4-packs that are very small, and they're different colors. So there's a violet, there's a red, and then there's one that's pink and blue. So there's 3 different kinds, and I've put them all in these pots, and my goal is to use them to fill in dead space or anywhere I have a gap or I need a flower or plant. That's what I'm going to do with those. And then I moved all the asparagus bags over here. I was debating whether I wanted to put them in the ground, leave them in the bag. What did I want to do over the winter? I decided to leave them in the bag because I was really just too lazy to dig them up and plant them in the ground. Plus, I had a whole nother shipment of asparagus crowns, and so that were waiting in the fridge, so I put those here. They're under the cover. They'll stay there all winter long under that cover. I'm leaving that. I might put some plastic on top of it even. So I decided to leave those in the pots and see what they do. They may die off because they'll get too cold. We're going to leave them there and see. I moved a lot of my herbs that were on my deck, I'm sorry about the glare, into this bed because this is my new vegetable bed, and it is very small. It is a lot smaller than the other one. It's probably half the size of the other one, the big one. But that's all I need. So I moved all the herbs that were perennials in pots on the deck out here for the winter, because if I leave them in the pots on the deck, they will die. So I put them in the ground, and then next spring I will plant new herbs for the boxes on the deck, and I will still leave these. So, you know, and then I'll continue the process. Like I may, you know, if they get, as they get old, the plants, I may decide to dig that one out and replace it with a new one that I've started, you know, that kind of thing. But anyway, these little cages are more herbs. I just covered them so the dogs wouldn't trample on them, because occasionally they jump this fence, and I don't want them walking all on my stuff. There's some chives over there. There's still stalks of sunflowers there that I have to dig up with a shovel because they're big roots. And then there's probably a rosemary, I think, over there. So this is going to be the vegetable bed, just this space. So that means I have to do some thinking about what I'm going to grow, and I have to make it count. I probably won't be growing corn anymore, even though I love growing the corn. I love freezing it. It's so good. But it's just big. It's so big, and I don't really have the space for it. So I may stop growing those. I won't be growing the really tall sunflowers. If you saw the last video, this was a row of sunflowers. They had to be 10, 12 feet tall. I don't know. They were tall, and they're beautiful. But I'm growing sunflowers for cutting this next season, and so I will not have anything that gets that tall, and it's a different kind. It's a pollenless kind that I'm going to pretty much be growing. So, yeah. And then this is another bed of my stuff for the fall and winter. Spinach, which I love. I need to come harvest some of this, actually. Spinach, and then all of that over there are golden beets, because I love the golden beets roasted. These pots, I had amaryllis bulbs in two of these, and I dug them out to store. And now all that's left is the asparagus plants that were there that I threw in these pots, and I'm going to leave those. These pots here are, well, those are herbs, basil and oreganos and all that stuff. Here I planted cilantro, parsley, and I believe beets or radishes. Let me see, what does the sign say? It's a radish, royal purple. So yeah, radish greens are really good, sauteed too. So, and then there's mint in a pot back there. So in all these window boxes, I think I mentioned before that I had to do something, because they're small, they dry out quick. So I put sedum in them. Sedum is drought tolerant. It doesn't like fertilizer. It's just, oh man, this is horrible. It doesn't require much tending to. So I put that in there. I plopped some columbine in here just because I had it in a pot. Obviously it's a biennial. It must take 2 years to bloom because it didn't bloom. So I just plopped it here. These peonies back here, I don't know if they're dead. There are two. They still have some green on them, but they haven't done anything, nor have the ones in the front. All the peonies I got, and I have several different colors. I think I got them from different places even. All of them look like that. Like that. So we will see. This is a hydrangea that I put back here. I can tell you what kind. Let's see. What does the sign say? Hydrangea. Moonrock. Oh yeah, I ordered, I think it was they came, or I got 3 moonrock hydrangeas, because that's kind of my favorite right now. I have 2 of them in the front. So I planted one there. I think I planted one on this other side, and I may have planted one in the front as well. I really like that one. Euphorbia, see, this is what I mean. Looks like my dogs ran through here because my little gnome is laying on the ground. Poor guy. Okay, so fig tree, euphorbia. And then there's a bunch of tulip bulbs under here and some other kinds of spring bulbs. So when they come up, the ones that come up, I'm going to pull those out. I don't like using tulips as perennials. I've decided they're annual only flower. So I will be pulling those out. And then this area, it has a hodgepodge of things, and it will continue to be that way. I will put some annuals here that I'm growing for my cutting garden. The fig trees obviously will stay, and the hydrangeas that are over here will stay. And I have some little rose bushes thrown into. But the rest of the space will be probably annuals. Right here, actually, there may be one tree. I may put a tree back here on one of the sides. Like I have a few trees coming, and I may put one back here. So we'll see. But this is Sweet William, and I just had a big clump of it. Well, no, it started in this little bunny, so I had a little clump of it. Took it out of the little bunny and put it in here. And this one is obviously a biennial as well. I did not know that. I didn't know that about flowers. I was just planting seeds everywhere. But so I put it in one clump here, and it turned into all of this whole thing. And so I divided it this week. I just, dug it up and divided it and just put it around a different clump so I can have different sets of Sweet William, hopefully in the spring. There's even one there. Another fig tree. I think that's the other moon rock hydrangea over there. This peony looks the best out of all of them. It actually put on a little bit of growth. These were bare roots when I planted them. So it's actually put on some leafy growth, which is good. But the others, yeah, I don't know. This I was leaving because I looked it up in my plant app, and it's supposed to be a mulberry bush that is edible. So I don't know, make some mulberry jam or something if that turns out. I did not plant that. These are all of the Limelight Prime hydrangeas, which are now turning red. They're short. I mean, everything I have, I got pretty much bare roots, very small, because that was affordable. And so with a little time, they will reach their potential. And these get like 5 to 6 feet, I believe, which is the height of a fence. So, and that's the goal, like a screen, like a pretty screen to hide the fence. Here's another fig tree, which has figs on it. I don't think they would have time to ripen. Oops. Wait a minute. It's moving. I don't think they'll have time to ripen. So, but these are cold hardy figs that I purchased. I think one is like the Chicago one. But there's cold hardy, so they should survive the winters. And then my fruit trees, as you can see, I've trimmed them all up. This is a variety. There are cherries here, apples, pears, plums. What else is back here? Who knows? Nectarines, I believe, in the back. So everything has put on growth this year. These are 2 years old as well. Yeah, everything is put on growth. Oh, there's a spider on that one. Yikes. Yikes. You see it there? It's crawling up the web. There's a huge web. So, yeah, I've trimmed them all back. They were all getting really tall. This is my little hedge of arborvitae that I put here to try to make a screen to cover up this storage area, my little storage area. And they're doing well. I have 2 extras because I expected maybe 1 or 2 to die, especially with my dogs. And there is one on the other side that looks like it's about dead. This one is a little brown, but it's not dead. And the only other thing going on back here in the backyard is my raised bed, which has a lot of my leafy greens. So I can kind of protect them, even though the cabbage moth still got in here, even though I sprayed, even though, they were covered to start off. But they're, for the most part, doing well. This is a basil. It's pretty big, but that'll be dying off soon because it's cold. They've really gotten to this purple bok choy. Look, they've practically eaten it up. So I left it because I wanted to keep them there if there are any things there. I didn't see any, but if I can keep them to those plants and not get to my other things, that would be good. So unfortunately, I do like the purple bok choy. I wanted to enjoy some, but it's like demolished. But I got, lettuce, beautiful lettuce. Look at this lettuce. I mean, there's a glare, but it's beautiful. And arugulas and shards. The arugula is beautiful. I mean, you can't even see it. There's a glare, but it's all beautiful. Shard in here. which is big and beautiful. A volunteer carrot, odd, or chard. Swiss chard. Oh, something ate this leaf. Look at that. I got to get out here and harvest the Swiss chard. It's pretty big anyway. And then I got some cilantro and parsley. You know, I can never have enough of that. And there's some basil thrown in there too. Which again, you know, it's getting cold, so basil's going to be dying off here. But yeah, that's all I got going on in the back. So, on that note, I'll sign off, and the next backyard tour will probably be in the spring. So yeah, this is it. The season is coming to a close. So I will be back with a front yard tour in the next couple of weeks once I get the trees in that I ordered. And that'll probably be it for the gardening season this year. All right. So take care of yourselves. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.